Any press is good press, unless you do any of the following.
I love one for Christmas is my PSP. Come on, mom and dad, get one for me.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 stupid video game publicity stunts.
We're here to protest Dante's Inferno, the game by Electronic Arts, Electronic Antichrist.
For this list, we'll be looking at video game publicity stunts that make you wonder who thought this was a good idea, and who got fired for this one.
Once here, you can sample edible human limbs, including hands, feet, and even a human head.
We're only looking at things that were approved by the game company in question. So as terrible and tragic as that radio station's deadly Hold Your Wii for a Wii contest was, it wasn't endorsed by Nintendo, thus it doesn't qualify.
Yeah, I feel sick right now.
Number 10, gotta go fast? We'll pay your speeding tickets. Burnout 2, Point of Impact. Officer, we swear we didn't realize we were speeding. Oh, I guess it's okay because Acclaim is covering the ticket? At least that was going to be the case on Burnout 2's launch day in the UK. We understand that Burnout is a racing franchise, but did Acclaim really think that covering the costs of someone breaking the law was a prime promotion opportunity? Especially if breaking said law could lead to the disastrous crashes that, let's be honest, Burnout is known for. Fortunately for UK motorists, these plans were cancelled. Number 9, littering with big bills is still littering. Mafia Wars Las Vegas. We can all use some extra cash. How does $25,000 sound? Zynga was generous enough to grace the sidewalks of San Francisco with big bucks. Except the money was fake. And by grace, we mean glue. Since when was littering a good idea? Spoiler, it's never a good idea, because the advertising company responsible for the stunt had to pay $45,000 in fines. At least it wasn't the 10,000 red balloons being released into San Francisco for home front, drifting into the bay and creating hazards for wildlife. THQ. Number 8, body parts scavenger hunt. Resident Evil 5.
Did anybody spot you? Did you get any funny looks?
We got loads of followers.
You got followed? Who got
Hey Mojoholics, would you like a free trip to Africa? All you have to do is collect the most dismembered limbs in London.
You take them over to Westminster Bridge and shout Kijuju at the top of your voice, and then you can win a holiday for 2 in Africa.
The really bizarre part? Capcom couldn't find the remaining parts after the contest ended. We're sure those 2 torsos are gonna turn up somewhere, right?
But so far no signs.
Oddly enough, Sega attempted a similar stunt with Mad World months later. At least the promotion for Resident Evil 6 was regulated to one spot. If you don't mind eating meat made to look like human flesh while drinking a stool sample cocktail at Wesker & Son. Delicious. Number 7, free gas for all. Mercenaries 2, World in Flames.
Irresponsible or irresistible, it's certainly made an impact.
You know when you watch The Price is Right, and they offer a contestant free gas for a year? That's nothing compared to what EA did.
Hundreds of drivers queued in Stroud Green in North London this morning, hoping to get their hands on free fuel.
In an attempt to promote Mercenaries 2, the company decided to offer free gas to all drivers, about $34,000 worth.
Few beeps. It's been alright though.
Well, I guess maybe that would work if they organized it with the authorities or spread it across several gas stations, but oh no, it was actually one station in northern London.
Do you think it's caused a bit of problems?
Of course it has.
You think?
I'll have an empty tank by the time I get there.
And they didn't give the police any warning. That probably explains why the locals were less than thrilled, especially since the queue of cars lining up for free gas caused a string of traffic jams across all of northern London.
Did you give police advance warning of it? We didn't give them advance warning, but they've known about it since very early this morning.
Number 6, fake protests at E3 and sin to win at Comic-Con. Dante's Inferno.
This game is some sort of thing that the world should never see. That children should never play, adults should never play.
Didn't we just talk about EA? Gotta go for those 3 strikes, I guess. At E3, they staged a fake religious protest against their own game, because hell is not a game or something.
Hell is a real place, you know?
Surely pretending to be infuriated Christians wouldn't anger real Christians. Later in the year, for the same game, attendees at Comic-Con were encouraged to commit acts of lust by taking pictures with booth babes. The person with the most pics would win a night with the, and I quote, hottest girl at Comic-Con, booty, and more. Surely that wording couldn't upset anyone, right? Number 5. This is a holdup. Just kidding, it's a video game. Splinter Cell Conviction.
I don't know who you are or what you're doing here, but thank you.
Companies want to promote their games in a way that gets people excited. You know what really gets people excited? Being held up at gunpoint. No, wait, that's how you terrify people. Yeah, definitely scared shitless. That's how drinkers at a bar in Auckland, New Zealand felt when a man wandered in and pointed a gun at them. Because it happens in the game, maybe? Geez, didn't the bar patrons realize that this was an attempt to build hype for the upcoming Splinter Cell game? Well, the police didn't either. Can you imagine if they tried this in an open carry state?
You don't get it, do you? You can't touch me. I got protection.
Number 4. We're sure that baby Turok won't ever get made fun of. Turok Evolution. Acclaim gave expecting parents some extra incentive to name their newborn after a dinosaur hunting franchise. $10,000. Well, $10,000 in savings bonds, but still. To be fair, kinda. The company may have gotten the idea from the fact that residents in the UK had responded to their previous offer, $766 and an Xbox console, if they were willing to change their name to Turok. So perhaps this baby Turok thing was the natural evolution of their plans. Hey, listen, that pun wasn't nearly as bad as this publicity stunt. Number 3. What's in the safe? Watch Dogs.
These guys, I heard stories, man, that like nothing I'd ever seen before.
A lot of these publicity stunts are several years old, so they may get away with not knowing any better, but not really. This particular incident is surprising because it happened in 2014, so you think that Ubisoft would have known better than to send a ticking black safe to an unsuspecting news site.
Whoops, I think I lost it.
As expected, the police were called in and the building was evacuated. To the officer's surprise, inside the safe were copies of Watch Dogs and promotional items. The kicker? The news site in question, 9MSN, doesn't even cover video games. And, depending on who you ask, Watch Dogs really was a bomb.
God, you have not changed at all. We do not need your help. Please stop trying to fix our problems. Every time you try, you just make things worse.
Number 2. Goat intestines go well with wine. God of War 2. Oh, Sony, we want to experience decapitation and blood via video games, not in real life.
I will make you suffer!
It may have sounded cool to have such a risque launch party and competition for godlike status, but outrage ensued when pictures of said party were featured in the UK official PlayStation magazine. Say what you will about Capcom's Scavenger Hunt and Butcher Shop, but Sony definitely unsettled everyone with their topless women serving drinks around a real decapitated goat. The 80,000 magazine issues were recalled, and Sony officially regretted sending out those party invitations.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun, even though the last part was a bit disgusting.
Before we end this PR nightmare, let's raise an eyebrow in confusion over these dishonorable mentions.
Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings is quite possibly the most realistic game that involves whip cracking that I have ever seen.
PSP, 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 PSP.
The NAACP says it's another stereotypical image of whites being dominant over blacks, but Sony says the ad is simply meant to highlight the contrast between the two colors.
Number 1. Putting the deceased to good use and helping the poor. Shadow Man 2: Second Coming. No one can beat Acclaim at bad publicity stunts. Believe us. The speeding tickets, the baby naming, and now advertising on tombstones? Not the Halloween shop ones, we mean actual graves of the deceased. This totally wasn't what they meant by experience your dead side, was it? They even had the gall to say that the offer might appeal to poorer families who could use the extra money to cover burial costs.
What is this shit?
This shit's the beginning of the end.
A moment of silence, please, for Acclaim's historically bad publicity stunts.
Dead side. No place like home.
If you agree with our list, Which video game company has advertised their releases in completely ass-backwards ways? For more top 10s published and advertised daily, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
You should do what you came here to do and go home.
Yeah, they really roll out the red carpet for us Americans.